Good morning and welcome back to our teen Sunday school class. This week we are going to talk about miracles of healing that Jesus did. I say so much and I don't realize it at all. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into the scriptures. Now there are a lot of miracles of healing in the Bible. Not just by Jesus. We talked about Elisha, we talked about Elijah, and then previously we talked about some other ones that have healed and different things. But now we're going to get back to Jesus and his healings. As I was going through the different ones, there's several ones. There's probably some that you know and probably some that it's not really talked about a whole lot. One of the ones that is well known is the one with the issue of blood. I'm just looking at them, just reading down the list, trying to who else. The 10 lepers. The beggar? The sight restored to a beggar, and Bartimaeus. Trying to see which ones are like well known, kind of like the man. Well, it says the dumb man. Gracious of God, the dumb man possessed of a devil. That is, I'm reading exactly what it says. But this is the one that says, "Oh, Jairus' daughter."
Yeah, that was a good one. One with the issue of blood. That was. Yeah. I think that's one of the most interesting miracles. Just because of the context and the circumstances.
Which one?
The woman with the issue of blood.
Yes, very much so.
There's a lot of meaning there.
So let's go ahead and look at some of the miracles of healing. Now, Jesus has a lot of miracles that he has done, and going through just the list that is on here, there's quite a bit. Let's try to this is okay. So this Bible is ancient.
I think we checked and it didn't even have a year of publication.
That's what I was saying. Like, does it have one? It's old.
Yeah.
It's like for real old.
There may be some Bible stories that aren't in there yet.
I hope
The
not.
most high-minded.
It says uncompleted to be.
Well, I'm trying to figure out if there is one because of just the references and stuff
Wait,
that
can I
is in
check in
this.
the back?
Yeah. It's marked. Just the references and stuff in this Bible, it actually gives you great detail on the things that we're studying about, like where the miracle happened at, what city, what town it happened in. This Bible has the maps in it. Some of the Bibles do not have the maps anymore.
Yeah.
Whereas this one does. But this Bible also goes in a lot of detail about where things were. It doesn't. I mean, go to the front. Maybe back to the front.
When you go to where it
Started.
diverges from scripture, like where the scripture ends, it might say something there. Page number 1273. Helps. Study of the Bible.
So when you think about all the people that Jesus has healed, all the people that after they got healed went around and told what happened to them, what is your favorite healing that Jesus did? What would be considered one of your favorite ones? Because there's a lot of them. Just thinking about the ones we talked about, some we said some, like listed like some of them, but what would be like, oh yeah, this miracle right here because of this?
I would say mine would probably be Lazarus being raised from the dead.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly because the way it foreshadowed his own raising from the dead.
Mm-hmm.
And with the exception, I think, of the water into wine, kind of. He didn't really do miracles for people he knew for the most part. You know, like Peter's mother, but for the most part, he didn't. You know, a lot of it was just for others, not for his friends or
Right.
anything like that. And you can see how much.
Well,
it
if
hurt
they would
him
have needed it,
emotionally.
he would have done it.
Right, but
The Bible
you
doesn't
don't see
list
that
a
a
lot.
lot of
Yes.
him healing somebody
But
who
that
was
he
close to
that he
him.
that was close. Yes, I have seen, and that makes you think too. If there's somebody that was close to him that needed a healing, it's just like something that
Right.
automatically just.
Yeah.
But it was more of people that he didn't know. So think about us today. You know, yes, we pray for our family. Yes, we, want to see things happen, wonderful, great things happen to our family. And most of our family is saved. So now what are we doing? We're looking at those that are not saved, that are not in our reach of, being able to talk to face.
Because it's like Jesus said, you know, send the doctor and kill the well people.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's look at some of them. Oh, Lanee, what was yours? Sorry. What will be yours?
Oh,
There's so many. Like,
I know. I'm
seriously,
just
so many.
thinking through like the amount. Like there's so many, but then when you go to think about it, then
Mhm.
specific ones just absolutely
Yes.
evade you.
Yes.
I think that one of my favorites was probably when he healed the man who was lying by the water, like where the
Yes, the impotent man who had been afflicted 38 years.
Yes,
That one. Who
I
would
think
Bethsaida?
that
Yeah.
was one of my favorites
Did
because
the definition of that word change?
What?
Impotent.
Impotent? I don't think so.
I think that's one of my favorites just because of the it's like how it says in I can't remember what book, but tribulation worketh patience. So much patience. No, I think it's like Ephesians or something. But like imagine that 38 years.
Yes. Sitting by the pool, he could not get in because no one would help him get in.
I would have been so angry.
Well, and the other thing is that they really kind of skip over that part about the angels stirring the waters. It just like in the backstory is like, yeah, angels would heal people at this pool, but there was a man sitting here that had to, he couldn't get in the water. That definitely.
It's even
angels
less than
do.
that. It's like
It's
there
like-
was a man sitting here.
Okay,
who was
let's look
sitting
at
for
it.
38
Let's
years.
look at it.
I mean,
Look,
Jesus
look,
did a lot of
didn't heal.
miracles.
Let's go to that one. Go to John chapter 5, verse 1 and 16, Lanee. And Bill, you go to Matthew chapter 7, 9. That is not 7. That is definitely 12. 9 through 13.
All right.
I believe that's what it is. You look at 12, because it's X 1 1. Yeah, it's 12. 12, 9 through 13.
All right. I got John.
Okay. Okay. Read.
After
Go to
this,
John.
after this, there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem.
Oh, I guess we should have read Matthew first.
Probably.
Read Matthew first.
Yeah, I want to go more in depth with John.
John's account will go more in depth anyway.
And when he was departed thence, he went into their synagogue, and behold, there was a man which had his hand withered. This is not it.
That one's not it. Wait. Did I look at the wrong one? Hold on.
And that's withered hand.
Does it happen later on in the withered hand account? And
Ten.
then it's the wrong verse.
X is 10, right?
Yes,
And then ... That's 12.
that's Morse code.
No, it's the I. Two
Oh,
I's.
okay.
And it's not 9 and 13?
Well, he was in the synagogue. He healed withered hand. No, 9 to 13 is the withered hand.
Then how did I mix it up?
Where's the?
But is yours Lanee 5, 1 through 16?
Yeah. Verse 5 and 16.
Maybe that's the only account then, because I'm looking
Could
at
be,
it again.
yeah.
Well, I'm looking at it again. It has a little thing around.
I don't specifically remember it being.
I don't know that
I
it
don't
was
remember there
in
being
a whole
two
bunch of the books.
Yeah.
It's just John. I'm looking at it right because look.
Okay.
Am I mistaken? Here it is right here. but then it
Yes,
has a little
John.
brackets around Matthew.
And
Unless
probably
that's
goes
supposed to
to
go
the
to the
different
book.
one that it
No,
has.
maybe it's the next one.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what it is. Because
Okay,
there's room
so
on that page.
yes,
but
there
we don't
is.
have
Okay, so
everything.
go to John then,
All right, I got it.
because John's account is going to be pretty
It's
detailed.
gonna be good, yeah. After this, there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now there is at Jerusalem by the sheep market, a pool, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Bethesda, having 5 porches. In these lay a great multitude of impotent folk, of blind, halt, withered, waiting for the moving of the water. For an angel went down at a certain season into the pool and troubled the water. Whosoever then first after the troubling of the water stepped in was made whole of whatsoever disease he had. Okay, before I keep reading.
Go ahead.
It's kind of weird to me that after a literal angel troubled the water, then only the first person who stepped in would be healed.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how much power the Lord vested in these specific angels, but, I mean, it's God's power, so you'd think.
I hate to say it. It just sounds like a fun game, you know. Like watch all the like lame people trying to get in the water. You know, like, hey, look at these guys with 3 legs. See them
That's
trying to get in the
terrible.
water. Well, like,
Stop.
you know what I
I
mean?
mean,
It's
but
just like,
it said,
just like that really sounds like it would be a special needs race, like marathon.
but how
kind of
long?
thing.
My thing is, how long was the water troubled for?
Right.
Because it says the first. Well, it says the first. Then first after the troubling of the water stepped in was made whole, whosoever disease he had. So how long was the water troubled for? So was it like a certain amount of people that got in first were healed and then the water stopped being troubled? Or was it, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
you know
The way it works
when there's
is-
a wave,
Yeah.
right? The wave is coming. You in the front, you're gonna get the first part of that wave, and then once you get to the back, it's just easy, just kind of.
Yeah, so is there certain, because the way the Bible words it is, whosoever then first after the troubling of the
Yes.
water stepped in was made whole of whatsoever disease he had.
And then later it says, when I am coming, another step is down before me. The man is saying to
Okay,
Jesus.
so maybe it is just one. I don't know.
Why?
See, I don't.
And why
that-
isn't that a bigger thing anywhere else? Like, that's the only time it's mentioned.
Yeah.
Jesus is doing all sorts of healing miracles, and I'm like, it's kind of.
Well, hold on. Let me finish reading it, and then I have another thought about it.
Sure.
And a certain man was there which had an infirmity 38 years. When Jesus saw him lie and knew that he had been now a long time in that case, he saith unto him, Wilt thou be made whole? The impotent man answered him, Sir, I have no man when the water is troubled to put me in the pool. But while I am coming, another steppeth down before me. Jesus saith unto him, Rise, take up thy bed, and walk. And immediately the man was made whole, and took up his bed and walked. And on the same day was the Sabbath. The Jews therefore said unto him that was cured, It is the Sabbath day, it is not lawful for thee to carry thy bed. He answered them, He that made me whole, the same said unto me, Take up thy bed and walk. Then asked they him, What man is that which said unto thee, Take up thy bed and walk? And he that was healed wist not who it was, for Jesus had conveyed himself away, a multitude being in that place. Afterward Jesus findeth him in the temple, and said unto him, Behold, thou art made whole. Sin no more, lest a worse thing come unto thee. The man departed and told the Jews that it was Jesus which had made him whole. And therefore did the Jews persecute Jesus and sought to slay him because he had done those things on the Sabbath day.
Okay.
Okay. I think the thing that makes this one of my favorite miracles is the fact that Jesus walked into this room full of a multitude of people
There
who
was
were all
a
there
bunch.
for one reason.
Mm-hmm.
They're all there because they need healing.
Mm-hmm.
And then he heals
And
one
he
person.
heals the one man who's been there for 38 years and walks out.
Wow, what a loving guy. Can you imagine what the other people are sitting there thinking? I've been waiting here watching this water for like 20 years, and that guy's
But what
been
if
here a
that
lot longer
man-
than
what
I
if
am.
that his
man
whole
was
life?
because he said he had no one to put him down in the pool.
So he's.
True.
What if that was his whole
Maybe
life?
he had
Can you
no
imagine
one.
sitting there seeing this guy who's been there 38 years
It makes you
healed,
think.
and then the guy just walks off and doesn't heal anyone else? He's
Okay, wait.
But no,
But
the
this-
purpose.
Go ahead.
It's the message behind that, because
again, the water being roiled up, and then only one person gets the healing. It's weird.
I mean, I don't understand it either, but that's
Okay,
what
so
it was. I mean,
think about this. there's someone that they really want to be healed and want to be able to go back to their whatever their life was before. Well, what if this man that was there for 38 years didn't really know what his life was before, but you see that he immediately went and told what happened to him, and he
might have meant more to him than any other person in that entire.
What if it meant something more? And then he's going around saying, Jesus healed me. And they said, and he answered them, he that made me whole, the same said unto me, take up thy bed and walk. He did exactly what he was told to do without any question.
And I'm sure that if Jesus walked into a room and, because keep in mind, this is all on the Sabbath day too. Mm-hmm. So if he walks into a room and just heals every single person in that, in the multitude, it would be an amazing thing to happen, but that would have only stirred up the Pharisees more.
But they were going to be stirred up anyway.
That is true.
Yes,
but you know how
God's timeline.
You know how when you walk in a room and there's a bunch of people, but sometimes you only are set on one person when you walk in that room.
Yeah.
What if it was something like that, where Jesus knew that he could heal every person in that room?
Because some people, I imagine that some people in there wanted to be healed so badly, but this man needed to be healed.
What if they were scared of the Pharisees too?
It's true.
Because they knew they would be questioned, and so there's a lot of what
There's
ifs.
a lot of elements that go into that.
I'm
It's not
about
just
the blind
Jesus heal
people.
everyone.
Because there were a bunch of blind people there. They can't see when the water's troubled up. They're just sitting there, and it's probably loud. There's multitudes of them. So they can't hear when the water's like.
But I'm sure they have someone with them. This man had
nobody. There was no one with him. So maybe that's what it was too. Is there was no one there
What a
to even help
boring life, though. Not only because you don't have to be healed. You can see everything. You're just sitting by this guy. Well, I hope we rose up the waters today. It's been 40 years.
Yeah,
right. That's exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
wow.
I would think that not everyone was as.
And the guy who would have multitudes come to him, and he would heal them. Then all of a sudden he was I like this guy.
I don't know. I don't understand
I
it,
don't
but
understand there's a lot I don't understand about the Bible.
Right.
So
that's a good one though.
I think that's one of my
about
favorites
it.
because there's a lot of depth.
Well, it kind of makes
to
sense
it.
at this point. Jesus was healing people, but so was just a pool. There was just a pool that was
Well, it was
healing
the
people
angels.
too.
It's not the
Yeah,
I know that, but to the people, John has obviously had some backstory into this. They just see the water trouble whenever the first guy gets in there, he's healed. And so they probably
I
know
imagine it was so
something.
much a part of their culture by that point because
didn't.
it's kind of an offhand mention,
Which
My thing
kinda
too
makes
is
sense why the
Jesus just
Pharisees
walked
were
in the
like-
room. Jesus just walked in this room. They knew who he was.
Yeah.
They knew who he was. But it does not mention anything about
even if the poor man who was stuck in a pool for. Oh,
they knew who he was. So
by
do
the
you
sheep
think
market,
that they?
too.
Why that pool? I just don't understand the pool thing. It's just weird how the.
But didn't he say there was
Pharisees are
five pools?
okay.
No, it's
There are
five
a lot of
porches.
things that are ingrained into our culture that aren't in other places, and it's really strange to them. So maybe it was just
It's strange, but miraculous at this point. I'm kind of seeing the whole Pharisee side of it, where they're he's doing miracles, but so is the pool over there.
I mean, it's.
Yeah, but how come they don't question the pool? They don't question the angel that comes and stirs up the water in the pool.
They can do anything.
Is it because it's not bothering
Because
them?
the angel isn't challenging their agenda.
Well,
Yeah.
there we
Well,
go.
who knows? It was just weird that that's the only time that's ever mentioned.
My question is,
The angel troubling the water is more of an unknown force to them
Yeah.
because it may not be
Makes
a
sense.
visible angel. They
Yeah.
see the water being.
Did anyone
troubled.
actually
But
why wouldn't you
Jesus-
just stay in the pool?
Jesus to them is a human.
Just have your foot in the pool for most of the time.
maybe
Jesus
be
to them is like a
contaminated?
reachable human who they
It's like the sheep market.
see.
Oh, that is
I
not
don't
really
think they would
contaminated.
be pretty
It's
bad.
something.
How do they find that out too?
Well, I was gonna say, how did the Pharisees know that he was at the pool for 38 years? What did it say about him?
It just says, the
They
Jews
just
therefore
were
said
just
unto him
like-
that was cured. Oh, they were worried about the bed. And is the Sabbath day, it is not lawful for me to carry thy bed.
That's
He
all
answered
they were
them,
worried about.
He that made them whole, he that made me whole, the same said unto me, take up thy bed and walk. And then they asked who it was.
Oh, why did they even have to ask? I'm sure they already knew who it was. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, if angels are going around and stirring up water, you know.
Well, first it's Jesus, now it's these pool angels, and
I'm
know.
sure the cool angels had been around.
It's something.
Like, there are a lot of cultural things that are just interesting, you know?
Well, did anyone I wondered if like anyone like actually swam in the pool, or if it's just like a bunch of people standing around the pool.
I wouldn't.
It's weird.
I don't think there was anyone swimming in the pool
because it was next to a sheep market at that.
Yeah.
So do you think they took that water?
Was it like a sheep that had a like crippled leg, and that's how they found out he was like in the
There were
water?
probably multitudes in there every day. So,
because they knew what would happen.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing to find out, you know, like, oh, I had a hurt, like, oh, and it was like probably something bad, like not even that bad, like a cut or something, and he like got in the water when the woman's moving around, and he was like, oh, my cut is better, and then there's like a guy right behind him that has like a leg missing, and he's like, hey, could you let me get healed by that?
I don't know. It's very interesting. All right, I think mine is one of the ones that's very familiar, and that is the woman with the issue of blood. Okay, so let's go look. What time is it?
Yeah,
okay.
Minutes.
So let's look at that. Mark 5:25 through 34. Somebody wants to get that. Matthew.
Where is it, sorry?
Mark 5:25 through 34. Matthew 6:20 through 22. And then I'll get Luke 8:43 through. Make sure this is the right one. Through 38. Make sure those are the right ones. 48. Matthew, Mark.
I don't think mine is.
Mine is the right one.
Mine isn't.
What's
Again?
yours?
Are you sure it's not 16?
Wait, let me see. What did I say?
6.
The dot before the 10 is what?
9.
9. Yeah. The dot before the X is 9. Okay, so 9. Is that it? 9?
Yes.
Listen, I don't read Roman numerals a lot. So.
Yeah.
Okay, then Luke 8:43. You got, was yours correct, Grace?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what they were so different, but Matthew 6 was the Sermon on the Mount.
I thought that sounded off.
Because yours is like 12, and Mark is such, like, how long is Mark?
16
like 16 chapters, and I was like, oh, I'm all the way at 6.
8:43. Okay, so let's start in Matthew.
It's like 3 verses.
For real? In Matthew?
Yeah.
How many are in Mark?
Wait, Lane's
like
doing
9.
Matthew?
No, you're doing Matthew. I just turned to it.
Yeah, okay.
Luke has 6.
3.
Luke has 6. What? It's not okay. Let's see.
Well, it's just not a very in-depth account because it's right in the middle of the gyrus thing.
It's like 2,
Okay.
10-second summary.
All right. Read Matthew's account.
And behold, the woman which was diseased with an issue of blood 12 years came behind him and touched the hem of his garment. For she said within herself, if I may but touch the hem of his garment, I shall be whole. But Jesus turned him about, and when he saw her, he said, Daughter, be of good comfort, thy faith hath made thee whole. And the woman was made whole from that hour. Oh my God.
Short and sweet.
That's it.
It's like, woman, issue of blood said that if you touch the garment, touch the garment. And then Jesus was like, whoop. And then he said, you're whole. And then
And
he
that
walked
was
up.
it. That's
Because
okay.
Matthew was probably close to Jesus, but not the closest.
No.
So he may not have known.
This is a tax collector too. He'd write down like the facts. Just like, this is what happened. And that's it.
All right. Well, let's do Mark's.
And a certain woman which had an issue of blood 12 years, and had suffered many things of many physicians, and had spent all that she had, and was nothing better, but rather grew worse. When she had heard of Jesus, came in the press behind, and touched his garment. Where she said, If I may touch but his clothes, I shall be whole. And straightway the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of that plague. And Jesus, immediately knowing in himself that virtue had gone out of him, turned him about in the press, and said, Who touched my clothes? And And his disciples said unto him, Thou seest the multitude thronging thee, and sayest thou, Who touched me? And he looked round about to see her that had done this thing. But the woman, fearing and trembling, knowing what was done in her, came and fell down before him, and told him all the truth. And he said unto her, Daughter, thy faith hath made thee whole. Go in peace, and be whole of thy plague.
Mark's account was pretty.
Yeah.
Alright, so Luke, chapter
What
9.
very good image, what is it? Word picture, like with the fountain of her blood was dried up. It was just like, yeah, she had a fountain.
Alright, Luke's account. And a woman having an issue of blood 12 years, which had spent all her living upon physicians, neither could be healed of any, came behind him and touched the border of his garment, and immediately her issue of blood stanched. And Jesus said, Who touched me? When all denied, Peter and they that were with him said, Master, the multitude thronged thee and pressed thee, and sayest thou, Who touched me? And Jesus said, Somebody hath touched me, for I perceive that virtue is gone out of me. And when the woman saw that she was not hid, she came trembling, and falling down before him, she declared unto him, therefore, all the people, for what cause she had touched him, and how she was healed immediately. And he said unto her, Daughter, be of good comfort, thy faith hath made thee whole. Go in peace.
That's a good account. It's not super long.
No, it's not super long, but it's
there's
a
a
little
lot
more
packed into that.
Yes, it's a little more in depth.
Because Mark's is still the account's fine, but it's just a little bit repetitive, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some details in there that aren't in the others.
It's okay. So Mark says, "Go in peace and be whole of thy plague." Plague.
Yeah.
What does Matthew say?
Daughter, be of good comfort. Thy faith hath made thee whole.
Okay, he doesn't even mention, and the woman was made whole from that hour.
I think she was sort of plague.
No, I don't think he would either.
You're healed of your
Well,
plague.
this one, Matthew, it doesn't say. Matthew was just short. It didn't even say she was in Mark and.
It doesn't even say how long.
It barely
No.
mentioned the hem of the
yes,
garment.
12 years.
yes.
12 years.
Well, no, Mark and Luke said in both, if I'm not mistaken, going back and reading it, their accounts said she was immediately. Was it just Luke that says that she's immediately made whole? No, Jesus no, that's
And
Jesus
Jesus immediately
knowing. So
straightway the fountain of wellness started. So
well, Luke's account said immediately, right?
yeah. I think this one is so cool because
She was healed
it's
immediately,
literally
not
a
in that
miracle
hour.
of faith.
When it says in that hour, so that means somewhere in the hour she was healed. But it says in Luke's account, she was healed immediately. She
remember,
was
Luke,
the physician.
Luke the physician. He would have had a different aspect on this from a medical perspective.
Yes.
And also, I mean, who knows? Maybe he found this woman and spoke to her. Because there are some details in here that just a bystander wouldn't have known. Or someone close to this woman would have known. Because she's the only one who can, like, she felt, like in Mark it says, she felt in her body that she was healed of that plague. So there's no way for anyone else to know
that she was
immediately healed. You know.
What if they had a Jesus funeral, like maybe, and like everybody who knew Jesus would come around, like, oh, he healed me of this.
I'm sure there wasn't a Jesus funeral, but
not for funeral, but you know what I mean. Like,
just,
like
I
after
think
he
they
had
would
left,
give
they would
people
have like.
warning in their own.
I wonder,
homes,
you know, like was different people at the upper room because they don't tell about that, but like the disciples had told people
But with
how Jesus
with
was.
the resources that Luke had and the amount of research that he put into other parts of the book of Luke, I can't imagine that he probably went and spoke to someone else who was close to or involved with this woman,
or her and
because, I mean, also he's a physician, so and he knew what Jesus could do, so I don't know.
Right. Well, looking at this particular miracle and stuff like that, so he's in a crowd of people. I mean, and everybody is pushing, trying to get to him, trying to touch him. You know, what was their purpose of really touching him? Try to see if he's really if they touch him, he's gonna be healed, or just touching him just to touch him to see if he's real.
Like, I touched Jesus and they were washing his hands.
Yes.
Whereas do that, like where they just, you know, they'll just, when you see a famous person, you're like, kind of, you know, grab his shirt or something.
I don't understand that.
Yeah,
but
it's dumb to me too.
Well,
you could say
that's what they did to
Shirt.
Jesus. You know, just think about it. But this one woman in particular, one woman, she had it set in her heart. I know from hearing all the stories about what Jesus did for people, that if just the hem of his garment, just touching just the hem, and the hem of a garment is like, it's like this, like just
Imagine Jesus walking around
all the time. Don't matter,
dirty,
and
dusty.
It did not matter to her if she could just touch. She didn't even have to touch him. It was the clothes that he was wearing.
The very bottom, possibly frayed edge of his
the probably dirty and everything. If I could just touch that, I'm believing that I am going to get the healing that I've been seeking for 12 years.
And she knew that was so much more important than the opinion of someone who she pushed on her way there.
Just thinking about, you know, seeing people do skits and stuff where they have all these crowds, and it's just this one lady is, you know, trying to get through, and she probably got pushed back several times before she could get to him.
Imagine how weak she would have been. Who've had an issue of blood, a literal, like one of the power sources of your body.
I don't know what that means.
A literal issue of blood for 12 years.
Yes.
You can't be very strong after all that. Not to mention whatever those.
But whatever strength she had, she wanted to just touch his clothes.
What a coincidence as well. I mean, it may have been changed, but like she was just in her house, like, Frank, touch the hem of his garment, and then like she's.
No, she probably heard the commotion and stuff that was outside.
Well, I know that, but like she like said the thing about the hem of the garment, and then the only thing she could touch was the hem of the garment later. It was kind of
with all those crowded people,
I'm sure she would have like. I don't know how much more effort she could have put into it, but she knew that all she needed to do
was just
to be healed was just touch.
Let me just touch his clothes.
This miracle is the most like they say, like miracles of faith. This is literally a miracle of faith.
Yeah, it really is.
Because like they say that the centurion saying, "You don't even have to go to my house to heal my servant. You can just say that."
Faith.
Like that is a miracle of faith.
Yeah.
But this is literally her faith manifesting itself in her healing because she made that effort. She wasn't strong enough for being sick for 12 years. But she knew, let me get to him. Let me just touch the hem. And that was the most important thing.
That's all she needed. And with that, she had faith that she was going to be healed that day. And she was.
And I know she wouldn't have. She wouldn't have pushed through all those.
No, she wouldn't have.
To touch his clothes.
If she didn't believe,
truly believe that as soon as she did it, or even if it took a while, she's still going to be healed. You know?
She kept doing it.
Well, what I was thinking of is like Jesus knew that she was coming the whole time.
I believe
it wasn't
so.
So like he probably had a countdown. It's like 3, 2, 1.
No, he probably wasn't running a countdown, but
he knew.
No, he knew exactly when she touched him. So he's like preparing himself. So as soon as she touched him, he could start acting like, "Who touched my clothes?" And like, I had more than.
Well, he knew, but he didn't know when. Like, I don't know if he knew.
And he never said that he didn't know.
No, he didn't say.
He just
knew that virtue went out of him,
and he knew that healing to find her, then he was gonna have to say
ask.
Something.
Yes.
No.
Because he could have just.
But he was acting. I mean, he could have just looked at her and go, "Hey, you touched my clothes." She knew.
Well, but what if she wouldn't have come out?
Right, because that could be also part of the miracle of faith. Because if she wouldn't have had the courage after
to step out and said it was,
to step out and say it was me,
yeah,
and face whatever consequences, you know, if she thought there would be consequences
at all,
taking the virtue out of Jesus, you know, she was ready to face those because she got healed, even if she was scared. That's such a
I love
such a powerful
miracle. And then of course the miracle of him raising himself from the dead and all that stuff.
Yeah, that was a good one too.
I'm wondering if he did he raise himself from the dead or did God raise him?
Well, he said destroy this temple in 3 days. He said
I will rebuild it.
I will rebuild it. He was talking about
Represents
him. That should show his power on himself.
Yeah.
But that concludes some of the miracles of healing, and just the ones that we talked about, which we didn't get to Lazarus. That's a whole another story too.
We could probably spend an entire
Yes,
lesson on
We
really
Lazarus.
could.
we could do a lesson on just like people who've been raised from the dead.
Oh, there is.
several,
There's
yeah.
miracles of the dead. But those are just some of the miracles that we talked about of healing, that when we think of them, ones that like stick out to us and that has a lot of meaning and everything behind them. What miracle of Jesus's do you think of that really helps you when we talk about the miracles of healing that he has done? Think about that. And then think about, why does that really help you? What in that about that miracle helps you? Sometimes, thinking about the things that Jesus has done, they're just like, they're mind-blowing. But we just hope that today you really enjoyed our Sunday school class talking about the healings of Jesus, and that you will continue to be with us as we go to our Sunday worship service.